My brother raised his glass and said, "To the best daughter in the family." Everyone laughed. Then Dad said, "And to Michael, our biggest burden." I smiled and left. Later that night, my mom texted me, "You'll regret this." I replied, "Okay." Then I stopped paying their bills. And after that, they broke into my apartment. My father always said that family comes first, that blood is thicker than water, that no matter what happens, we should support each other. For years, I believed him. My name is Sarah Carter. I run a successful plumbing company built from scratch with my own hands. My crew respects me. My clients trust me. My name stands for quality work in this city. I'm not rich, but I make enough to live well and enough to make sure my parents never had to struggle. Because for years, I paid for everything. Their mortgage, their bills, their vacations, even the food on their table. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Alex, still lived at home. He was 31 years old and had never worked a serious job in his life. But if you ask my parents, he was the golden son. At every family dinner, Alex would sit beside me, patting my shoulder and saying things like, "Sarah works so hard, Mom. I really admire her. I wish I had her discipline, but I just haven't found the right opportunity yet." We should all be grateful for everything Sarah does for us. In front of my parents, he was my biggest supporter. Behind my back, he was my worst enemy. I found out the truth by accident one night about 2 years ago. I had stopped by my parents' house after work to drop off some groceries. As I stepped inside, I heard voices coming from the living room. Alex's voice. "Mom, Dad, you know Sarah only does all this to make herself look good, right?" His voice was smooth and confident, like he was stating a fact. "She throws money around, so you'll love her more than me. But deep down, she resents you for it." I stopped in my tracks. "She told me last week she's tired of paying your bills." Alex continued, "That it's a burden, that she hates how much you rely on her." He sighed dramatically. I defended her, of course. I said Sarah would never say that, that she loves you. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe she does see you as a weight around her neck. My hands clenched into fists. Lies, all of it. I had never said any of those things, but Alex, lazy, manipulative Alex, was a master at playing the victim. My mother gasped. "I knew it. She always rushes off after dinner. She never spends time with us." "Exactly," Alex said. "And when she does come by, she acts like she's some kind of hero for paying the bills, like we should be grateful." "Ungrateful little," my father muttered, his words trailing off. I stepped forward, ready to march into the room and expose Alex for the snake he was. But then I stopped myself. Because I realized something. If I walked in now, they wouldn't believe me. Alex had been poisoning their minds against me for years, always playing the humble, struggling son, always making sure they saw him as the good one and me as the selfish one. So I took a step back, then another, and I left. I never told Alex I had heard that conversation. I wanted to see how far he would go. Over the next 2 years, I watched it happen. Every time I paid for something, Alex twisted it. "Sarah just wants control." Every time I didn't visit, "Sarah doesn't really care about us." Every time I gave them money, "Sarah thinks she can buy your love." And my parents, they ate it up until the night they finally showed me exactly what I was worth to them. The celebration that wasn't mine. The dining room was packed with relatives. The air was thick with laughter, clinking glasses, and the rich scent of roasted lamb. It was my mother's birthday, and of course, I had paid for everything. The catering, the decorations, even the new dress she was wearing. I stood at the edge of the room, sipping my beer, exhausted from a long day at work, but content to see her happy. Then came the toast. "To our wonderful son, Alex," my father announced, raising his glass. "For being the pride of this family, for always being there when we need him." A round of applause erupted. My beer glass froze at my lips. "Alex." I looked at my brother, sprawled lazily in his chair, a cocky grin on his face. He caught my eye and winked. And that was the moment I knew he had won. He had spent years twisting the truth, manipulating them, rewriting history in his favor. And now, in their eyes, I was nothing. "And to you, Sarah," my mother added, suddenly, turning toward me with a sweet smile. for being here. Laughter rippled through the room. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. Here's to Sarah, Alex said, smirking as he lifted his glass. Our little burden. More laughter. A burden. That's what I was to them. Not the daughter who had kept them afloat all these years. Not the woman who had sacrificed her own comfort so they could live well, just a burden. I set my glass down carefully. My hands were shaking. And for the first time in my life, I didn't swallow it down. I didn't make excuses for them. I didn't pretend it didn't hurt. Instead, I stood up, pulled my coat from the back of my chair, and walked out. I didn't say a word. Behind me, the laughter faded. The music kept playing. No one followed me. By the time I reached my truck, the cold air biting into my face, I knew one thing for certain. I was done. That night, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to my landlord. I'm moving out, I said. I'll be gone by the weekend. The second was to my bank. I need to change all my account details, I said. Every single one. Because as of that moment, my parents weren't my problem anymore. The first few days after moving out felt unreal. I had spent years surrounded by noise. My mother calling to ask for just a little more money. My father sighing about overdue bills. My brother lounging around like a king while I worked 12-hour days. But now in my new apartment, there was nothing but silence. Too much silence. I sat on my couch staring at the unopened boxes around me. This was supposed to feel good. This was supposed to be freedom. So why did I feel so uneasy? For the first time in my life, I wasn't responsible for anyone but myself. No one was asking me for anything. No one was guilt-tripping me into paying for something. And yet, deep down, I felt something stirring. A nagging voice in the back of my mind. How long before they come looking for you? I didn't have to wait long to find out. The next morning, my phone exploded with missed calls and messages. Mom, where are you? Why are you ignoring us? Dad, this is ridiculous. Pick up the phone. Alex, dude, what is wrong with you? I ignored them all. Then in the afternoon, a different kind of message arrived. That bank notification, unusual login attempt detected. I frowned. A moment later, another message appeared. Your password has been changed successfully. A cold chill ran down my spine. I immediately called the bank, my heart pounding. Ma'am, did you authorize a login from a new device today? The representative asked. No, I said, and I didn't request a password reset. Absolutely not. There was a long pause. Ma'am, someone attempted to access your account from an unfamiliar location. We've locked your online banking for now. You'll need to visit a branch to reset everything. I closed my eyes and exhaled slowly. I knew exactly who was behind it. Alex. It wasn't enough for him that I had been paying for everything our whole lives. Now that I had finally cut them off, he was trying to take what wasn't his. But what truly shocked me wasn't that he had done it. It was that he actually thought he'd get away with it. That evening, I drove to my parents' house. A storm of emotions raged inside me. Anger, disbelief, and something else I didn't want to admit. Hurt. Because deep down, I still held on to the ridiculous hope that maybe, just maybe, my parents would finally see Alex for what he was. That they would finally open their eyes and realize he had been manipulating them for years. That they would defend me, the daughter who had been taking care of them all this time. I should have known better. As I stepped inside, Alex was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. He looked up and smirked. Hey, Sarah, thought you were dead. I didn't answer. I just tossed my phone onto the coffee table, the fraud alert message still glowing on the screen. Alex's smirk twitched. Oh, he said. Yeah, I said, my voice calm but cold. He leaned back, stretching. Relax. I was just checking something. I took a slow step closer. You were trying to steal from me. He scoffed. Come on, Sarah. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like you ever said you wouldn't keep helping out. You just walked away expecting us to figure things out. What did you think was going to happen? I just stared at him. His confidence, his arrogance, the way he acted like he was the victim. Did he even believe what he was saying? Before I could respond, my mother stormed into the room. There you are, she snapped, her face red. Do you have any idea what you've done? I turned toward her, but she was already charging ahead. Your father's blood pressure has been through the roof. I had to cancel my hair appointment because I was so stressed. And Alex, she gestured dramatically toward my brother, has been trying to keep everything together while you've been off sulking. I blinked. Trying to keep everything together? I repeated, my voice quiet. By hacking into my bank account. She waved a hand dismissively. Oh, don't be ridiculous. Alex was just trying to see if you were still part of this family. I stared at her, feeling my stomach drop. They knew. They knew what Alex had done, and they didn't care. I looked between them, trying to make sense of it. How could they not see through him? How could they not see what he was doing? How could they be so blind? I had spent my whole life believing that if I just worked harder, if I just gave more, if I just proved myself enough, they would finally see the truth. But now I understood something that should have been obvious years ago. They weren't blind. They were choosing him. No matter what I did, no matter how much I sacrificed, no matter how much I gave, Alex could do no wrong in their eyes. And me, I was nothing more than a tool, a resource, a bank account, a burden. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I turned toward the door. Where do you think you're going? My mother demanded. I didn't look back. You don't get to just walk away, she yelled. We're your family. I stopped and in the calmest voice I had ever used, I said, no, you were my obligation and I just canceled it. Silence. For the first time, even Alex had nothing to say. I stepped outside, the cold night air hitting my face. For years, I had let them control me. Let them guilt me into believing that I owed them something. But now I was done. And no matter what they tried next, because I knew they would try something, I wasn't coming back. I had cut them off. I had moved out. I had made it clear that I was done, but they weren't. The calls turned into threats. For the first few days, the calls and messages didn't stop. Mom. Sarah, this is not how a daughter behaves. We need to talk. Dad, come home now. Enough of this nonsense. Alex. Dude, you're being ridiculous. Just come over and let's fix this. I ignored every single one. Then the tone changed. Mom, do you really want to abandon your family after everything we did for you? Dad, you think you're so independent. Let's see how long that lasts when you have no one left. Alex, you're making a big mistake. If you keep acting like this, don't expect us to be there when you come crawling back. Crawling back, huh? They still didn't get it. They thought this was a tantrum. That I'd get lonely, scared, overwhelmed, and come running home with my wallet in hand. But I wasn't coming back. And that was when things got worse. The strange encounters started quietly. One evening, as I walked to my truck after work, I noticed a car parked across the street. It wasn't one I recognized, but something about it felt off. The next day, it was there again. Then the next, different parking spots, different angles, but always there, always watching. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just paranoid. Then one night, I left my apartment late to grab some food. As I stepped outside, I saw a man standing near the corner of the building, pretending to check his phone. When I walked past him, he didn't move, but in the reflection of a store window, I saw him watching me. I turned around. Hey! He looked up, startled. Then, without a word, he walked off quickly, disappearing down the street. That was when I knew. This wasn't paranoia. Someone was following me. I didn't have to guess who was behind it. The next morning, I checked my messages. Mom, we just want to know that you're okay. If you won't talk to us, we'll find another way. Another way? They had hired someone to watch me. I had left them, and instead of respecting my decision, they were tracking me like I was a criminal. For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt something I hadn't expected. Fear. Not just anger, not just frustration. Real fear. Because this wasn't about money anymore. This was about control. And I had no idea how far they were willing to go to get it back. I decided I needed to put an end to it. So that evening, I did something I knew would draw them out. I sent a message to the family group chat. I know you hired someone to follow me. Stop now or I'll go to the police. Less than a minute later, my phone rang. Mom. I picked up. How dare you threaten us, she hissed. We're just worried about you. You're spying on me, I said, my jaw clenched. We just want to make sure you're safe, she snapped. But I see now you don't care about this family at all. I let out a short, humorless laugh. That's funny, I said. Because I cared for this family every single day until I finally realized something. Realized what? She demanded. That you don't actually love me, I said, my voice steady. You just love what I can do for you. Silence. Then her voice dropped sharp and icy. You think you're so smart, so independent. Who's going to cook for you? Who's going to wash your clothes? Who's going to clean up after you when you realize you can't do anything for yourself? I froze. Not because she was right, but because I suddenly understood why she was so sure I would come back. Growing up, my mother had never let me take care of myself. If I tried to do laundry, she would push me aside. You'll ruin your clothes. If I tried to cook, she would snatch the knife from my hands. You'll cut yourself. If I tried to clean, she would shake her head. You'll just make it worse. Over time, without even realizing it, I had stopped trying. I had spent years believing she was just being a caring mother, that she was just helping. But now I saw it for what it really was: control. She had never wanted me to be independent. She had raised me to need her. And now that I had left, she refused to believe I could survive on my own. You'll regret this, Sarah, she said, her voice dripping with certainty. You can pretend all you want, but you will come crawling back, and when you do, don't expect us to welcome you with open arms. And then she hung up. That was the moment I knew. They weren't stopping, and if I didn't take drastic action, they would never leave me alone. The next morning, I went to the bank and changed everything. Every account, every card, every password. I didn't rush. I didn't hesitate. I sat there calmly while the banker processed the changes, my hands steady, my mind clear. When I walked out, I made another call. This time to a lawyer. I need to make sure my family has no access to me, I said. My finances, my property, anything. I understand, he replied. I'll draft a legal notice immediately. If they attempt to access anything of yours again, we'll take action. That was step 1. Step 2 came an hour later. I walked into the police station, took a deep breath, and said, I need to file a harassment report because I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't hiding. I was done being afraid. For a few days after that, everything went quiet. Too quiet. The calls stopped. The texts stopped. The strange car stopped appearing outside my apartment. For the first time in weeks, I let myself breathe. Maybe, just maybe, they had finally given up. Then, one evening, I came home from work and immediately knew something was wrong. My apartment door was slightly open, my stomach twisted. I was sure I had locked it that morning. I stepped inside slowly, my muscles tight, my heart pounding. And then I saw them. My mother, my father, Alex. They were sitting in my living room like they owned the place. My mother was flipping through my mail. My father was inspecting the apartment, shaking his head in disapproval. Alex was stretched out on my couch, completely at home. Finally, my mother sighed and tossed an envelope onto the coffee table. Do you know how long we had to wait? She said. I could barely breathe. You broke into my apartment, I said, my voice low. My father scoffed. Broken? Don't be ridiculous. Your mother still has a spare key from when she helped you move in. He gestured around the room. Honestly, Sarah, you should be thanking us. This place is a mess. Look at this. He pointed toward the kitchen. Dirty dishes, clothes on the chair. Is this really how you want to live? I couldn't even register his words. My mother smiled like this was all perfectly normal. I knew you'd need us, she said. You're not ready to live on your own. You think you can just cut off your family and suddenly be independent? Who's going to take care of you? I took a deep breath. You need to leave, I said. Alex laughed. Relax. We just came to talk. I turned to him, and something in my stare must have changed because his smirk faltered. I'm calling the police, I said. My mother's eyes widened. Sarah, don't be dramatic. I pulled out my phone. My father stood up sharply. Enough of this nonsense. You've made your point. Now it's time to come home. I stared at him. Home? You've had your little rebellion, he said. Now it's time to grow up. You're coming back with us, and this foolishness ends now. For a split second, I almost laughed. They really thought they could force me back. I raised my phone. You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the cops. Silence filled the room. Then my mother's face twisted with anger. You're really going to call the police on your own family? She hissed. You stopped being my family the moment you broke into my home, I said. She stood shaking. After everything we've done for you. Done for me. I let out a bitter laugh. You raised me to serve this family. You used me as a bank. You never saw me as anything but a tool. Her face flushed. We sacrificed for you. We gave you a home. You gave me a prison, I said. She stepped closer, her voice sharp. And what happens when you fail, Sarah? Because you will fail. You don't know how to live without us. You're going to crawl back one day, begging for help. I hit dial. The moment she heard the ringing, her face went pale. You're really doing this, Alex muttered, standing up for the first time. My father grabbed my mother's arm. Enough. Let's go. But she wasn't done. You think you've won? She spat. You think you can erase us from your life? I met her gaze. Watch me. And with that, they left. 20 minutes later, the police arrived. I told them everything, the stalking, the break-in, the threats. They took my statement, checked my locks, and warned me to stay alert. Do you want to press charges? The officer asked. I hesitated. Just a restraining order, I said. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was about ending it. That night, I locked my door and stood there in the quiet, truly alone for the first time. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I had never felt before. Peace. Peace didn't last. It never does. Not when people like them realize they've lost control. 3 days after the restraining order was filed, my phone buzzed with a notification. Unknown number. I didn't answer. I already knew who it was. A second later, a message came through. You think a piece of paper can stop blood? I stared at the screen, my chest tight, then calmly took a screenshot and forwarded it to my lawyer. Then I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, another message from a different number. Your mother hasn't slept. You're killing her. Block. Screenshot. Forward. By the end of the night, there were 7 numbers. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I documented everything because fear was what they wanted and I was done feeding it. The following week, I changed my routine completely. Different grocery store, different gym hours, different route to work. I installed a camera at my front door and another facing the parking lot. I upgraded my locks. I told my neighbors exactly what was going on. If you see them, I said, showing photos. Call the police. Don't talk to them. They nodded without hesitation. It was strange how quickly strangers could protect me when my own family never had. Then came the package. No return address. It was waiting outside my door when I came home one evening. My stomach dropped. I didn't touch it. I called the non-emergency police line and waited inside until an officer arrived. They checked it, opened it carefully. Inside was a photo album. Old pictures. Me at 6 years old standing behind Alex while he blew out birthday candles. Me at 12 holding his jacket while he laughed with friends. Me at 20 smiling stiffly at a family dinner already exhausted. On the first page written in my mother's handwriting. Family is forever. The officer looked at me. Do you want to add this to the report? Yes, I said immediately. No hesitation this time. Court was scheduled faster than I expected. Apparently, repeated violations of a restraining order tend to get a judge's attention. My parents sat on one side of the room. Alex sat beside them. None of them looked at me. Not until I sat down. My mother's eyes filled with tears instantly, like a switch had been flipped. My father stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Alex looked bored. When the judge asked me to speak, I stood. My voice didn't shake. For years, I financially supported my family, I said. Not because I wanted to, but because I was expected to. When I stopped, they began harassing me, following me, breaking into my home, threatening me. My mother let out a quiet sob. The judge didn't look at her. I continued. I asked for boundaries. They ignored them. I asked for space. They escalated. I took a breath. I am not asking for punishment. I am asking for protection. Silence filled the room. Then the judge spoke. The restraining order will be extended to 2 years, he said. Any further contact will result in immediate legal consequences. My mother gasped. Alex finally looked up. My father's face went pale. For the first time, they understood something. This was real. Outside the courthouse, my mother tried one last time. "Sarah," she whispered, tears streaking her face. "Please." The bailiff stepped between us instantly. "No contact," he warned. I didn't even slow down. I walked past her, past all of them, out into the sunlight. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. That night, I sat on my couch, the apartment quiet, except for the hum of the city outside. I thought I would feel empty. Instead, I felt light. I wasn't someone's backup plan anymore. I wasn't a wallet. I wasn't the responsible one, the fixer, the sacrifice. I was just me,